Oh, no, go ahead. Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have a talk about Linux projects such as a Linux distribution, a desktop environment or application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux, fitness, and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. Although I lost my plushie, I don't know what happened to it. Oh well. And with me today, I've got quite the panel of people. I have got Dale, Jinda, Collin, Penguin Revolution, or also known as Alan. I've got Rocco, War Thunder, Eric, and Mike Chilson. How is everybody?
Excellent.
Wow,
Fantastic.
I feel the enthusiasm. Okay. Woo, man.
If I was any better, I would be you, Nate.
Whoa, that might be going. You all right, buddy? Are you planning on hurting yourself or somebody else?
Let's not.
I have to ask these questions, you know, when you're worried about somebody. Well, if you're so kind as to hit that like button or possibly subscribe if you have not done so. Better yet, you can chat here on the voice chat with the whole crew of people here. That link is right there in the YouTube if you'd like to hop in on our Discord voice chat. You can also join the Discord or Telegram communities or groups, whatever you call it, and keep the conversation rolling throughout the week. And be sure to do a straw poll also, keepinglate.com/polls, which I don't know why I don't have it pulled up already. And you can vote on this about operating system rollback feature. If you'd like to give you a thumbs up for yes or no on whether or not that's important to you, that would be cool. And we'll actually get to the results of that poll, and I've got some little bits I can throw in on that as well. But first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? Collin so graciously volunteered right before
did I really?
Live. Yes, you did. When you started talking
about... boy, I opened my big mouth, didn't I?
Yes, you did, and I love that. So you began by asking about Pizza Loving Nerd, who has not been on here in a long time, but he's always welcome to come back if he'd ever like to. I'd be certainly happy to see him. And I don't know, I'm curious to know, does he still like pizza?
Oh, that's a silly question, Nate. Pizza. Who doesn't like pizza? Come on.
That's true. Even bad pizza is better than no pizza.
So he's changed his channel to Cameron Knopf, which is his actual name, I would say. He's working on stillOS, which is a what would you call it? I can't remember what he called it now. I'm going to have to check it up on the website. But it's a let me have a look quick. It's one of those distros where nothing can really go wrong with it because he actually when he does updates, it's atomic updates. That's what it's called. I've been writing his ISO to USB, but just does not boot up. I don't know if it's my hardware or what. I'm not sure, but it doesn't boot up. But it's interesting because he's making a. It's based on what's it called? Not Rocky. I think it's Rocky Linux or the other one.
Alma maybe.
Could be that one. And he's got all these web app utilities and stuff that he's trying to make it for the average user. So that's what he's up to. So I was really keen to try it out, but I just can't get it up and running at the moment. So if he's watching, Cameron, how do we get your USB written to, or your ISO written to USB properly? I don't know how. It's not working for me.
Do you have a link to the distribution that you can share?
stillhq.io.
I have yet to try it, so I'm not sure.
I don't know how to spell it. It's STILL. STILL or ST? What is it?
STILLHQ.io.
I dropped it in the chat if that works for you too.
Oh my goodness, yes. Apparently I'm a little bit slow here. You know, these things happen.
I just thought it was worth mentioning because he's been making a lot of videos lately. I've been enjoying his content, but I really wanted to try this out. But I think he has a customized GNOME desktop as well. I'm just trying to remember what it's based on. I think it's Rocky Linux or AlmaLinux, one of those.
It says here it's AlmaLinux 10 and boot C.
AlmaLinux, is it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yours one of those. So apparently when he does updates, he does atomic updates, so it's updated as a whole image rather than... So it's one of those situations where it's highly unlikely that anything can go wrong type of thing. So, yeah, just thought it was worth mentioning. He's been in the Linux realm for quite a while, even though he's a young bloke, but he's still at college at the moment, he said, and he's been working on this for quite a long time. I think it's 3 years, it says here. So, yeah, I just thought it was worth trying out, but I just cannot get that thing going. It's not very often I have problems getting an ISO going on USB, but maybe it's just the way it's set up. I'm not sure. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to get him back on and have a chat with him anyway.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool, actually. You know, we do have the we do have a distro. Well, it's bright. We do have a distro exploration to do next week, so let's put that on the list.
Oh, okay. Well, that's if you can get it running. If anyone else gets it running, let me know. I don't know why it's not booting. I'm booting it on I'm trying to boot it up on a Lenovo IdeaPad 110, which is just an Intel inside. So I don't know. I've tried writing it by using the DD command in the terminal. So I thought maybe that's what it needed, but normally I just use the Mint stick to write things with, but I don't know. It's weird. It's not working.
It does seem a little odd, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can figure it out. Well, there's also the other maybe one we could look into as well. Let's see, the one that Zeb, so Quark OS as well. It might be another contender for next week.
Right.
So anyway,
well, maybe it might be worthwhile somebody checking it out first before you do it as an exploration, because you might have a whole heap of people that just can't get it running. You know what I mean? So that's why I just thought I'd mention it. But I'm pretty keen to check it out. Yeah. So
the one and only Sean. The one and only. There's nobody else named Sean except this one and only Sean, who does sometimes join us on here, which is more than welcome to join again. But he's probably 3D printing and making a lot of noise, and so he doesn't want to join or something like that. I don't know. But he says the website says it requires UEFI to boot. Maybe that's Collin's issue.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this computer's... I thought this computer... Oh, maybe it's not coming up as UEFI. Okay, all right, I'll check that out. I thought it's UEFI in there. Oh, okay. So it's not okay. So when I boot it up and use the F12, it just says Limpus Light. It doesn't say UEFI. So maybe that's my problem then. Okay.
Could be
my problem. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I can't diagnose these things.
So for some reason the computer's not picking it up as a UEFI. Okay.
Yeah.
That stands to reason, actually. Thank you.
So, Warthon, that's a good point. You could actually just bring that up. You don't have to type it out. So it says you've run into that with Virt Manager before because it defaults to BIOS.
Yeah, for a lot of ISOs, it defaults to legacy BIOS, which it's weird. I have some instances like when I run an Arch-based distro in Virt Manager, I can't boot UEFI sometimes, and I have to change it to legacy. So sometimes there's weird things like that with some of these distros. I also know stuff like that can get really finicky depending on the hardware or whether it's BIOS, UEFI, that sort of thing.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Interested now.
Hey, another point, kind of a side point to this. Has everybody checked their machine who's using Secure Boot to make sure your certificate is up to date?
My Secure Boot's off. Does that matter?
Okay. No, but if you don't have to worry about it.
Do.
If you're using Secure Boot, I think it's June 6th is when the first certificate expires.
Right. Mine's disabled, so it shouldn't be a problem.
But if you're updating your BIOS, that'll usually take care of it.
Yep. And I do know for some Linux systems, Linux should, in some cases, still boot just fine, even if you have Secure Boot enabled. It's just the certificate will expire. I've been on a 2-week escapade trying to get BIOSes and that updated around here. I still got to do my main workstation and my wife's workstation. But it took me 2 weeks to update the BIOS on a computer that's not even in here. It's a little cheap Lenovo that was like you buy it at Best Buy for $100, and the only thing it's here for is just basic like Chromebook like duties. Shockingly, it had an NVMe port, so I'm not even using the eMMC built into it. But I found out the hard way that while Lenovo is pretty good on like ThinkPads doing like the firmware update service, so like this P53 I have, I can get firmware updates through Fwupd and it's all great. Well, that cheap Lenovo IdeaPad, it's more like, it's kind of like I experienced back in the 2010s with Linux trying to do BIOS updates. It's an utter pain in the rear end. And so I ended up having to put a Windows to go on an external SSD to then, because of the way the executable works on some machines for the BIOS, it puts a stub in the UEFI bootloader to then boot and flash the BIOS. But it will only do that if you run the executable in Windows. Even if you manage to extract the exe file and get in there, a lot of times the way they do it, you can't find the binary blob that's the BIOS file. I was going to try and do it with, I've got one of these devices that I've switched over to instead of Ventoy. If you've ever heard of an iOD, one of these little screen dudes.
I think I have.
What is that?
It's an IODD. This is an ST400. So it's got built-in firmware. It's a ISO CD-ROM emulator. So you'll plug this in. You'll have your ISOs on your own. I bought it without an SSD and put my own in it. It basically emulates a CD drive. In fact, you can even emulate CD drive speeds for computers that don't understand USB boot. This thing can pretend to be a full-on CD-ROM drive and run at CD-ROM speed to try and fake them out. And so when you F12 boot, it thinks it's a CD-ROM drive. That's
interesting.
Anyway, they're pretty cheap. They're like $100.
So what, you can drop multiple images on there or what?
Yeah, you just throw ISOs. It'll do ISO images, it'll do floppy disk images, and it will do VHD files. So you can make virtual hard drives on there and mount them, which is what I was trying to get set up. So I actually I need to test it, but I have a Windows to go with Rufus VHD on here that I can mount, plug into a computer, and then boot Windows if I just need to for like troubleshooting or stuff like that.
So some of it I'm understanding that right, you can download whatever amount of ISOs you want, transfer them to that, and then boot off of that. Like so you don't have to write a USB.
Nope. Yeah, it works. You can only you can change in the firmware. The firmware is pretty irritating because it's one of those cheap Chinese devices. The firmware's not the greatest, but basically, yeah, you can go through the menus and select an ISO. So like I used it here to reload Mint on a laptop here the other day, and I can just select Linux Mint Debian Edition and click it, and it will load it into memory. And then I just plug it in, and when I boot the laptop, it just thinks you put a CD-ROM of Linux Mint in it. The computer doesn't know any different.
What is this thing called again?
And you can still store devices.
Yeah, do you have a link?
I could find one for you. It's an IODD. ST400 is the one I have. They have it on Amazon, which is where I got mine. Okay, it's gone up a little bit in price. It's $114 now. It was $99 when I bought it. But I think they're neat. Because I was using Ventoy before, and Ventoy works. If you've got a flash drive or an external drive, it does work. I was having some weird issues with Ventoy and certain distributions not working and whatnot, and this one just has some extra functionality, like for systems that don't boot USB, you can trick them into booting USB. Things like that.
Yeah, I have one that's similar, and it's actually great for plugging into my Windows XP tower and emulating a CD drive and just running games off of ISO. I do it all the time instead of just having it clogging up the. Yeah, that's awesome.
So this guy over here, this is a Dell Mini 10 from the XP era. You can't just plug a USB flash drive into this thing and install XP because it doesn't have USB drivers in the XP setup. But with that device, I was able to get XP Service Pack 2 installed on this thing yesterday, as if it was a CD-ROM.
Does that work similar to? Sorry, does that work similar to that program called Plop? There was one called Plop that I used to do on devices that didn't have a CD-ROM. I think it was PLOP. There was one I used to use just to boot. It would boot old. It would boot new ISOs on an old USB. Can't remember how that worked. You used to put the Plop application in a CD-ROM, and that would enable you to boot from a USB. I think it was. Yeah, that's how that used to work.
And that's what's cool about this thing is because I can put Plop on there, so you can fool a device into booting from a CD-ROM. But it, like I said, it obfuscates itself. I do have Plop on a CD somewhere around here.
Right. I was using that many years ago on an old computer. I remember. Yeah.
Shockingly, I have it on a floppy disk around here too, because I have a machine in the closet that won't boot CD, won't. It'll do floppy disk, but that's about it. I got to recap the power supply. It's an old Toshiba. Is it a CT710? It's an old 386 laptop that is like Windows 3.1, 3.11 era.
Right.
It has bad caps in the power board, so it won't turn on anymore. I gotta get those recapped now that I have a soldering kit, but that's what I originally used to make sure the hardware was working. Is I didn't have any DOS floppy disks, and I only had the one good floppy disk. So I'm like, I'll get Plop on there, and then I'll figure out how to attach something else, real jankily, because I've got a, oh gosh, what is it? It's like serial or parallel floppy disk drive that I have. So I used like one floppy disk to like load another one or something. I don't remember exactly how I did it, but
it's been a long time
here
since I've had a machine that I had to bootstrap it with a floppy to get the operating system installed from a CD-ROM. It's been a while, and in fact, I can't even remember like how I did that exactly at this point.
It's a pain. I have a Latitude X1 that will not boot USB, and that's kind of how I had to do it, was with Plop Boot Manager. Now, it was painful because people forget that we were blessed with USB 2.0, but before that, we had USB 1 and 1.1, and trying to boot Windows XP over USB 1.1, you're going to be here a while. In fact, I think that install took me like 3 or 4 hours total, which I was sitting here working from home, so like I just set it in the corner and would just get up occasionally and go check on it. But
that's good stuff, right?
Brutal.
So that's very interesting that this computer does boot UEFI. I know that for a fact. But however, there are some ISOs that just don't get picked up that it's UEFI capable, which is, I don't know if that's the way the ISO is written, or I don't know how that works.
Maybe. I know there's some like Fedora uses like Grub 2 and it's configured differently, and so some Fedora or Fedora based things will not be happy with some UEFI BIOSes.
Right.
It's interesting because I've had issues getting them running before, even on Ventoy.
Yeah.
Some ISOs will do both. I know, like, because they have to, of course, plug it. I know the OpenSUSE family of distributions, at least Tumbleweed and Leap, maybe not Leap anymore, but Tumbleweed anyway, it will boot with either UEFI or BIOS from the same ISO, which is pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, I've only ever had Tumbleweed or SUSE in general not boot on like one machine that I've had over the years, and that was not a good computer. It was a really badly implemented BIOS.
Yeah, so full scale for me, who is here, and you could chime in at any point in time. In fact, I would love it if you did. He put in the chat here, he said, Windows 95/98 came with a 3.5-inch floppy for PCs that couldn't boot from optical drives. The ISO needed a special process run on them to be bootable, but the name escapes me. So if anybody knows what that is.
Yeah. Actually, the funny thing is my Windows XP tower doesn't support booting from Windows from USB either. I have to use a floppy for it as well. And the funny thing is the CD-ROM I have for it is a USB model. Yeah. And it doesn't. The built-in one broke and shattered the next Tetris CD when it went out. I was so mad. But it doesn't boot from USB, and I have to use a floppy every time for it to connect to Pentium 4.
I'm genuinely curious because this laptop had a catch-22 because this little Dell Inspiron has a SATA drive in it. But XP didn't come with SATA drivers built in from the factory. A lot of people forget that Vista was the first Windows that had SATA support. So I had to go round robin. And in fact, the Dell OEM Service Pack 2 from archive.org, thank you, has those drivers built in for this thing. But you can't just use any SATA drivers. It's got to be the Dell ones.
Really?
To make it work.
Really? I had no problem with my SATA hard drive on my tower. It's got a SATA controller. No problem. Oh, wait, that's right. I'm using a modified thing. I use a pre-cracked modified one. So they probably built it in.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, I forgot about that.
SATA drivers, but
yeah.
Anyway,
mine's been modified. That's right.
The old desktop over my shoulder here. It will not install an OpenSUSE product from the CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, or no, from thumb drive, USB. I have to burn a DVD drive for that old thing. And believe it or not, it is a UEFI board. Thumb drive will not install. Now, thumb drive on a Kubuntu, I can install on that computer. But thumb drive on any OpenSUSE product fails.
Do you know why?
No, I have tried troubleshooting it. I have tried trying to figure out what's wrong with it, but it stops reading the drive, but only on OpenSUSE, and I can't figure out why it just stops reading from the drive.
So
I haven't reached out to ask anybody, but it's just odd.
This was put in. Rock put this in the chat here. It says the Virtual OS Museum, which this seems pretty interesting. I'd like to dig into this.
That was Clash and Cruise there in the chat in YouTube.
Yeah, he asked.
Chat said about it.
So so I can put that. I'll put that link here in the in there. So Rock, you can put links in the in there again. So I just fixed that. I fixed that oversight. So this I think is pretty cool. So the earliest mainframes later mainframes and mini computers, workstations, and Unix variants. I think it'd be fun actually to if they had HP OS, that'd be fun. Personal computer operating systems, variety of those, mobile and embedded. So you can experience Palm OS, Newton.
Dude, I love this. That is
yeah,
awesome.
Amiga Unix.
It's like
that's pretty wild.
It's like abandonware for an OS.
Yeah. MOS for BBC Master Systems, I think. It's pretty wild. Yeah, this could be. This is not news, but this is news.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
This is very cool.
Yeah. I love the 1980s looking background too. The grid with the very digital sunset. Yeah, this is really cool. Anyway. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So, anyway. Well, cool. That was a fun little meandering into what I've been doing in Linux and tech, and I get something else to play with probably tonight. All right.
Up on archive.org, there's a lot of boot disks if you want, going back into the 90s.
Oh, really? Like of
Yeah.
Windows 3.1, 2.15, 386, I think, is the earliest Windows they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got
they
my
do.
Unix System 5 and my concurrent DOS 386 disk from.
I mean, that's where I got my Windows XP boot disk from, is I just downloaded the image and wrote it to a floppy.
So they do have a use beyond bootlegs at Grateful Dead concerts.
Oh, nice. Well, very cool. And
Archive.org has freaking everything. Yeah.
That's a neat, definitely a neat collection of all kinds of wonderful things. I did actually get a copy of Windows 3.11 that I put in DOSBox, and so every once in a while, if I know I'm going to leave my computer, like just step away from it, I'll put that just full screen on a virtual desktop just to see if anybody notices that there's something very old running. Just because.
Yeah, I've done that before, but I've kind of graduated from Windows 3.1 to 86 box on that because it runs a little bit better on 86 box in my experience. But yeah, it still runs perfectly fine in DOSBox.
Well, it's DOSBox staging is what I'm using specifically. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the StrawPoll. And the question was, and I just posted it today, so normally do a StrawPoll that goes a lot longer, but I was thinking about it this morning, and I just posted it because I did. And the question is, for operating system rollback feature, well, it's a yes or no. An operating system rollback feature is important to me, yes or no? And we had a discussion about it on the early edition today, but I wanted to kind of expand.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Hipdad. Welcome.
Hello.
You've got mail. Can you hear us? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Willkommen.
Sorry.
Du hast briefen if you were in Germany. So anyway, yeah, we can. So if you want to vote real quick, cubicule8.com/polls and give your little thumbs up or thumbs down on that. That would be cool. And I'll get to that. So I did take a couple of comments from the chat this morning or early this afternoon. And one from Goofball says, if I were to switch from Fedora to something else, I think PeakOS, it would be near top of the list to have a rollback feature. My personal use case, rollback feature is not a priority. Most of my apps are cloud-based. Most of my data is backed up. No loss if I have to wipe my machine. That said, I use Fedora Atomic Downstream called SecureBlue, so I can always roll back to the previous stable image if needed. And Ben's Tech Room said, for me, rsync used way too much. rsync used way too much space. Btrfs is easier and lighter. I couldn't get Debian to get its beta Btrfs right for time shift. That's why that put me on 100% on Ubuntu. Backups chose my distro for me. LOL. So that's a couple of thoughts on that. Me personally, I use Btrfs on OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, which I think that's what Dale does too. Maybe a few others. And so that for me, it's very important because it allows me to back things up. So let me go ahead and look at the results here. Whoa, it's actually a tied 50-50. So if somebody wants to push it over, but
I'm the one that made it equal.
yeah, okay. Well, someone else needs to push it over, I guess. Anyway, so it looks like it's important to about half of us. Well, I mean, even if it was slightly off, it's still about half anyway. And so obviously it's not this is not a great poll. It's just a straw poll. And so it's important and not 100% important. So anyway, has anybody here utilized like snap or rollback or time shift because you messed something up on your system?
I've used time
War
shift
Thunder?
several times.
Hipdad? Well, of course you did Hipdad. You probably invented time shift. Or maybe time itself.
It'd make me look young.
So what did you do, War Thunder, that you had to roll back?
I have had to do many things in the past. Everything from I got Linux back in the day, and by that, for those that don't know, I accidentally uninstalled my GUI while trying to install something, and I thought I was doing the right thing by saying yes, do as I say, and oops.
Is that what we call it now? Getting Linus, as in Linus Tech Tips?
Yeah.
Getting Linus.
Yeah, I've made some poor decisions too. I've misconfigured NVIDIA drivers. I've in the quest to get like screen tearing to go away, I have bricked Xorg multiple times. So I've done some things. Usually, a lot of it revolved around NVIDIA drivers, just configuring them wrong. They're a lot better than they used to be when I first started messing around with things. And so I've had to roll back. I usually use time shift with the rsync, and it can take up a lot of storage space. I will admit that, but I don't have that many snapshots that often that I keep. I'll like make one if I'm going to do something risky, and then I can roll back. I did recently. I have a ThinkPad L14 that I'm messing around with. That I did a custom install of LMDE. I'm going to try to turn it into a video if I can. I found a guy off GitHub that had an article that he wrote up where he installed Mint on Btrfs, and then with that set up time shift to do snapshots. And now he went one step further and installed Grub Btrfs. That way it would add the snapshots into Grub. I haven't done that yet. Just kind of playing around with that because I've never really messed around with Btrfs that much. And so I was just kind of curious of what am I missing out on? Because I've always used ext4 because, well, knock on wood, it's always worked for me. But a lot of people like Btrfs, so I thought, I'll take a look at that. I don't rely on this machine, so if I break it, I can fix it.
Yeah, I see GNU to Linux. He's smirking a little bit. I don't know if it's because he talked about putting Mint on Btrfs. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
No, I was just looking at Hipdad's cats, actually.
Oh. Well,
but
that's
no,
fair.
I use Mint. I use time shift, but I haven't needed to reinstall anything. So the day hasn't come where I had to put it to the test.
Okay.
I got this, which is a SSD M.2 caddy. So I just use that as my all my stuff now.
That's
just
your time shift?
plugged in by USB. That's my time shift. So if anything goes wrong, I can just reinstall and just plug that back in. That's how I do things these days.
You know, it's one of those things, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to keep the ship floating.
I do the same thing. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's
Some
so
things
much
never
easier.
change, Colin. Some
Yeah.
things never change.
You know, it's one of those things like a younger version of me would probably be like, no, you should do it this, that, or the other way. But I'm not at the point in my, let's call it my tech journey, where I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If that way works for you, don't change anything.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Because it's like, I mean, if it hasn't failed you, then I don't see what the problem is. Obviously, your workflow is different than my workflow and how I do things. So why would I want to impose?
I'm sure it's failed him. It's just that he just reinstalls.
Now, the only time it would fail me is if I'm writing to a USB. I've got to make sure I take that out because I just don't want to even think about which one I need to select. So it's just a simple unmount, eject or whatever. It's done. It's out of there. So
I'm sure that would have saved me many times from reinstalling, but I just don't do it.
I mean, I've said this earlier, but when on my current system, I don't use any backups because I just use Ubuntu LTS. It doesn't break itself, so I just don't see the need anymore. If I break it, if it breaks, I typically broke it. I deserve what I got. But basically, I just have my home server and just have the other thing just back up to that home server every 4 to 6 hours, and so I have So I just have a copy of all my home folder, and it's just not a snapshot program like time shift or anything. It's just other things just running in the background. It just copies it right to my server, and that way, if I break my system, I just restore it I just restore my home folder from my server, and I still got everything. So, I just don't see the need of running snapshots like Snapper or Time Shift anymore.
Well, again, everyone's got their own workflow, and whatever works. So.
The problem with Snapshot is, the time shift actually backs up your system, but you would need like a disk, that's bigger than the amount of things you've got in your home folder, right? So you'd have to connect that. You'd have to somehow point that to a disk because you wouldn't be able to back that up on your normal disk, right? I think. I'm not sure. I've never used time shift.
Well, Time Shift uses, if you're not using ButterFS, it does have ButterFS integration. But if you're not using ButterFS, you typically have to have a second partition in a lot of instances. And it just auto-syncs your, you can just have it auto-sync your, do a snapshot of your system folders so you can just roll back to previous system state, or you can have it back up your entire home folder too. So it all depends on what you got, and we were going over it. It's not space aware, so you gotta make sure you're doing. Make sure you got a maximum set of snapshots, or else eventually just stop working once the drive fills up. So,
well,
what's the ultimate? What is the ultimate goal here? It's to make sure that the distro boots up, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day, I suppose.
Well,
exactly.
Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I've used Time Shift in the past, and I learned that it's just as easy to just take and transfer a copy of my home folder to my external drive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the best way. Does anyone remember Briefcase in Windows? That used to be pretty good.
Oh,
Briefcase, that was an awesome application, that one. it would make all the little changes that you made on any files or Excel spreadsheets or anything. It would just copy them over straight out. It was awesome. It's the only thing I found good about Windows.
Yeah, it was good. It was good because you put your documents in your briefcase and you take them home with you and work on them there. This is kind of before laptops were super, common.
Yep.
Well, I remember now. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, okay. I had to find the archived cobweb area to remember briefcase.
So, Prophetic, you said you want to share some of your rollback learnings?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So I've been reading up and testing and playing around with Linux OS, also building my own custom spin of Universal Blue images. And when I'm like kind of rebasing or rolling back, I found out that for Universal Blue images, you only have 2 slots. You can't just kind of keep iterating backwards as you go do these crazy experiments when you're rebasing. Now, Universal Blue don't technically support rebasing. They kind of just you're on your own if you do it, but it really makes you appreciate the sophistication of Snapper and how OpenSUSE they just got it right. You can go so far back. It's clean. It handles itself with storage. It's really world class. And with other implementations, there's always this one thing missing or this other subtle nuance that gets lost. It's just not the same. OpenSUSE's rollback is the best, in my opinion.
I mean, I can't argue with that. You're basically speaking my love language. So,
so you can you can send me the $20, Nate, over Zelle.
Okay.
Oh, this is what's going on in the background, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought you raised it to 25, but I'll gladly do the 20.
I couldn't agree more. That is the primary reason I use OpenSUSE products, tumbleweed specific.
Yeah.
I've tried to do the time shift under Ubuntu with Btrfs as a file system. And silly me, I thought that it can handle the storage thing. It will clean itself out on its own. And I guess maybe it was user error. Maybe I didn't put the checkbox on or something, but I was in the middle of an upgrade, and the upgrade went south because the storage ran out. And my time shift couldn't work because the upgrade was broken. I was in like a middle ground limbo where my system wasn't really bootable anymore. So even when you try to mimic the process of like time shift and Btrfs, it's kind of like Snapper. Like, no, it's just the Snapper. But that was just one. Again, that could have been me though. I think I probably missed some auto management flag for the storage piece. But one last thing too is when it comes to the Universal Blue images. Oh no, for the Nix stuff. It's so fragile when you're doing your Nix config that if you end up messing up on like a user on Nix OS, like if you're the only user and you mess up your own user, it's hard to get into session. So it's hard to recover from there. So even when you roll back, if your user config is messed up, you're just out of luck. Again, this was me learning, so it's probably more like user error for me. So I say that with a caveat. But yeah, it just reminded me, oh wow, Snapper is the world class. I wonder if anyone here runs Garuda, because I know they use Btrfs, and they have I think they have Snapper installed, or they use something similar to that. I wonder how fragile or bulletproof it's been for them if they use Garuda, because I heard they put a lot of work into their stuff too.
Yeah, that was actually one of the reasons I liked Garuda, was because they had some of the same tooling that OpenSUSE has for file system management. So that I thought was pretty great. And like, I think does Cache also have that? I believe, or maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember now.
I'm not sure.
No.
ZFS,
I don't
so
think
they
so.
have it kind of baked in, similar to that, to Snapper, but like it's baked into ZFS though.
Yeah, ultimately, I'd like to see that on all the Linux I out there.
I was watching your video the other day, Prophetic. I didn't get to watch it all, but I think it was your Nix OS one, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long one because I'm literally walking section by section.
Yeah.
But if you want to do like an AI summary, it's basically the Nix config file is a little disorienting because how they break up the config file, and maybe this is just, it makes perfect sense if you're a programmer, but how things are laid out, it takes a lot to orient yourself around that. And one example is there's 3 ways to bring in software. One, you have the Nix packages, and there's like a special formatting that you just kind of have some small block, and then you can literally just list the name of the packages. But don't mess up on the name of the package, because if you do FFFox or if you got to spell it the way the Nix package maintainers spell it, you'll mess it up.
That's correct.
There's modules where it's like it's a super package that's been customized for the OS. So there's programs.firefox.something, and that's another place you can do it in. And then you have the system file. So if you want to have it where it's installed system wide, and if you add a second user, it will show up. There's a third pocket. So the placement of these things are not intuitive, and so I did some horrendous commenting on my Nix file, and also a lot of narrative, like spelling out this section is for that, this section's for this, and here's how, and here's why it's formatted this way. So it's like it's more of an education tool that someone can read, like a blog, and then use it. So it was fun, but a little torturous to learn.
But I believe once you get that file down, you can pretty much install Nix and have whatever you want straight out of the box with that file, right? So it'll create your system as you want it. Is that right? I think
that's true, but it's almost, I would say it's like almost like it's next level Arch in a sense that you gotta really know what the implications are, because I love LXQT. I love how it's so quick and fast and out of the way, and also it protects me from my perfectionism of tweaking Plasma and being sidetracked for like 40 minutes to make my desktop perfect. So it keeps me honest with my productivity. And because LXQT desktop environments are so modular, they're pulling in different packages for the panel and for the network manager applet. It's pretty like it's hard to mess that up. But if you're switching, if you're a desktop environment hopper, not so much a distro hopper, but if you're a desktop environment hopper, which I sometimes am, when you swap out, you got to know what to take out perfectly and to swap in, because you might get some mixed packages in there that's going to play right, and it's going to get error out. So it's almost like if you're a full-fledged, like you love your desktop, you don't like changing desktop environments. I like to pop around sometimes, but if you love your desktop environments and all you care is about software with Flatpak integration plus that config file, once you got the base essentials set up, you're exactly right, Collin. You're golden.
Yeah, true.
The first orientation that's kind of hard.
We did a Nix OS challenge, I think, back in the day when we were doing distro challenges, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, we did. I did mess around with that file a little bit. I believe that you can put different desktops in. The problem is it's the configuration files in the home folder that mess up all your desktops, right? That's the only thing. And the only way to experience different desktops is with these GNOME configurations, where GNOME can actually, GNOME's got probably one of the some of the best, what can you say? What do you call those? They got I've lost my chain of thought here. You download they're not part of the system, right? As
Plugins
part of the main
or
system.
extensions?
Extensions, that's the word I'm looking for. And you can get it to swap out different desktops and so forth. So that's one way, which is how some distros do that. But to actually experience different desktops and say, I don't want this desktop, I want another desktop, because that's pretty much why we distro hop, right? That's experiencing different desktops. And it would be absolutely awesome if we could just swap out the desktop and the configuration files go and refresh, you know? I think Nix can do that. I can't remember.
It's not
sure
as
if
clean,
it can.
but you can.
It's not as clean.
Not as
right,
cleanly
okay.
done. At least in my experience, it's not as clean.
Okay.
That's my next experiment, is to swap out, to see how easily I can swap out. Because there's the Wayland. Here's the thing: you're at Wayland versus X11.
Yeah.
Now on Nix, X11 is like the default LXQT experience, and it's a really good one. I was really impressed. But for Fedora, Fedora 44, LXQT is shipping with MiriWay, which is the newer Wayland compositor. They're really trying to get some wind behind the sails of that Wayland compositor. So you kind of got to know in advance, does this desktop environment only work with Wayland, or can I do both? And if so, which one am I going to do it with? I mean, even your bootloader. I was messing with NixOS in GNOME boxes, and as you know, GNOME boxes is a virtual machine emulator. So I have to make sure I have to like punch the bootloader config in the face to say, this is what I want you to do, you know, and this other thing, you know. So I had to kind of tweak and play with that. But if you're looking for clean desktop OS switching, I think the peak experience is Universal Blue rebasing. Man, was that impressive to just literally be from one OS and then go back to your main thing. Wow, that was impressive. But again,
Universal
you only have 2
Blue,
slots. You only have 2 slots. So if you go rebase, you kind of lost your first image that you started off with. Again, not the biggest problem, because your home folder is still retained. So when you go back to Aurora, my Aurora placement of my icons came up the way I had it. So even when you lose the image out of your bootloader, or the file to select from in your bootloader options, like even that, it's still really resilient, I guess is the best way.
I take it all them settings are saved in the home folder, or what?
For a lot of the desktop configurations, you have the .config files, and then underneath that, you have the GNOME desktop and some things that they don't. I've heard from people that the weird GDK stuff, because you got GNOME, which is GDK, but then you got Plasma that has some options and flags for GDK rendering for those weird apps to handle with the themes. So that's when they start getting kind of wonky. And that's why I don't officially really recommend it or support it. But
so one other thing I've heard somebody say is you can create another user and somehow have another desktop environment with a different user. I don't know how that works. I've just heard about it, but it might be something you might want to look at prophetic, because I haven't really got into that yet. But
that's
you can So if you create another user on the same distro that you got installed, and then maybe you just swap out everything and just have a different desktop. I don't know if you have to reinstall it or get rid of the current one. I don't know how that works, but that might be something worth looking at.
I know you can, when you create a second user, you could pin applications to that second user only.
Right.
Which is really nice. So I'm not surprised if you can also literally do a different desktop environment. Again, the implications now is, what does your login manager say now? You gotta
okay.
You gotta have a login manager that can accommodate GNOME and Plasma or whatever.
Yeah, probably Light DM can do.
Yeah.
Light DM's a pretty good swap out
Yep.
login manager, I must say. So yeah.
Yeah, I like DM too.
Might be
It's
something
fun.
worth
It's been
pursuing.
fun.
Yeah.
A little painful, but fun. The good kind of painful.
Yep.
It hurts so good.
That's so good.
But yeah, sorry. Thanks for letting me
Can't
know
have
on that.
No, it's good. I think it's interesting also to think, because I often thought that maybe more than two, like, you know, an AB is probably sufficient, but I think you kind of made a case where there may be some instances when that's not the case.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's just we're spoiled by OpenSUSE as like having a blankie. I can go like 5 snapshots back. When I was on Aeon, there was one time I went like a month back. It was just wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild actually. Yeah, so we're getting for whatever reason, Discord's having a hard time with cameras unless if I select like the view specifically, like if I click on Collin, he will the camera works just fine. I can see Collin, he's moving around and he's blinking or whatever. But if I go off of it, then it just freezes, and I have no idea what's going on now. So, all right.
Yeah,
Discord,
you're frozen for me, Nate.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'm having the same issues.
Okay. So it's a Discord issue.
It's Discord.
Well,
yeah.
It might be a Brave issue because I normally have this problem with Brave Origin, but I have to use Discord in normal Brave, and today it's happening in normal Brave.
So you're fully animated for me. But that's all right.
Okay, it's happening on the app too because I'm using the app.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It could be there's just too much going on here, and Discord's getting overwhelmed with all the people leaving.
Too many GIFs.
So yeah, all the GIFs.
Let's test it. I'm gonna leave the video.
And did he just hop out?
I'm still here. I just
oh, okay.
dropped my video feed to see if somebody else started it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? It could be me. I could be the problem. But I did want to welcome a few people.
Roll back to a better setting
of Discord.
Yeah.
So see, Adam, he snuck in here. I guess he's playing Guild Wars 2 while hanging out with us. So we're kind of like on his virtual couch.
You're like 20% of what's going on in my brain right now.
Wow, that's a lot more than typical.
It's an upgrade.
Why the upgrade?
I care.
Okay. All right, so it is a news. Yeah, good. Glad you can make it. So it is a news flight night, and I think we're going to start off with a story about HP is now sponsoring the Linux vendor firmware service, Fwupd. Is that how you say it? Fwupd? Fwupd?
Whoopsie.
I don't know what it's called. But anyway, so from Phoronix, and I think I could probably go ahead and throw this link here if you want to follow along at home. So HP is not sponsoring.
Even if
Linux
it's
vendor.
not, Nate, that's what we're going to refer to it from now on.
Fwupd? Fwupd?
Fwupd.
Yeah, Fwupd. I think Fwupd sounds all right. But so the HP is now sponsoring the Linux vendor firmware service, Fwupd. It didn't take long. Mere days after Dell and Lenovo began sponsoring the Linux vendor firmware service as premier sponsors and contributing $100,000 annually to this open source firmware updating initiative, HP is now a premier sponsor as well. So what would we call that? Peer pressure? So following LVFS calls for more sponsorship from the major ODMs leveraging LVFS Fwupd for delivering firmware updates to their Linux customers, more companies have been getting involved in sponsoring the project to help push the efforts for a better firmware updating story on Linux, from system firmware to device component firmware updates and peripherals. So lead LVFS Fwupd developer Richard Hughes of Red Hat announced today that HP is the third premier sponsor following Dell and Lenovo. HP already supports LVFS Fwupd on their hardware from some laptops like the ZBook Ultra G1 to a different workstation like the Z6 or Z6 for you non-Americans, G5A, and then some peripherals like USB docks. Hopefully the sponsorship leads to more HP devices seeing official LVFS Fwupd support. So that's pretty awesome. So I didn't know, has anyone here used Fwupd for updating your hardware firmware?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Cashy does it by default, but most of my stuff isn't compatible.
Isn't compatible?
Yeah, there a lot of the things that are in the list when they do the Fwupd is not doesn't qualify my machine. Now I did have a NVIDIA Fwupd earlier today.
Yeah, I have a Dell dock, and that updates just fine. But I have had where it tried to push an update to, I can't remember what it was. It was a dock, it was an external thing. And then just kind of, it couldn't, for whatever reason. Maybe some permissions were not set right. I don't know. But, you know, what can you do? Has anybody used Fwupd manually in the terminal?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done it both manually, and I've done it with GNOME firmware. Is a GUI for it that I used. I experienced that a few weeks back in vacation. I actually bought a ZBook from a Goodwill thrift store.
Okay.
And it had a firmware update that I was able to get through Fwupd, which was pretty cool. And I did also learn from another device of mine that if you have the firmware file, like the raw .bin firmware file, you can use Fwupd to manually update your firmware that way, if you know what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah, I just updated my laptop with it, I guess, last week, and it was very smooth. I had to download the cab file and use it to install it. It worked great though.
Now, I guess I'm turned into a liar, because it looks like all the using the Pac-Man log viewer, every firmware update that was running through my system did get an update. I got Wince, which I have no idea what that is, AMD GPU, Atheros, Broadcom, Cirrus, Intel, MediaTek, NVIDIA, other, Radeon, Realtek, and then the standard Linux firmware. I mean, it all updated.
And the command line is also pretty easy to utilize too if you haven't done that. But so Discovered handles it on KDE Plasma Desktop for what it's worth.
Right. Yeah, this is using the cache update.
I'm going to try something here. So I just read that hardware acceleration can cause problems with the cameras. I'm going to try turning it off. If everything goes crazy, I apologize, but we're going to try it. Oh, wait. I have to restart.
Okay.
Disabling hardware acceleration setting will degrade system performance. Are you sure you want to do this? Well, it says I have to restart. And if I do that, that's going to make everything, it's going to mess up the stream. So next time, we'll do that next time. I won't do it in the middle of the stream. That'd be kind of silly. Today I had problems this morning, earlier today. Well, anyway, yeah. So I know the framework, they support Fwupd as well for updating their firmware, but I'm guessing they're probably not premier sponsors then.
Yeah, if you have it installed on your machine, you can use Fwupd Manager update to get a list of what firmware is available to download.
Gotcha. So I think there's gonna be some commands here somewhere. I'm sure I can put in the show notes, but I'll find something.
Here you go. I'll put it in the show chat here.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure that shows up in the show notes.
if Discord died tomorrow and Zoom wasn't an option, what would be the next best thing? Because I don't see any major other options.
Fluxer.
Yeah, Fluxer probably.
Yep.
Element
Flexer
works.
or Fluxer?
I use Fluxer. Yep.
I mean, Matrix does work. It has its built-in, I just don't know if it'll scale. We've had like 6 or 7 people on it, and it works all right. But I don't know. Nothing's imperfect.
Video
like
Ninja's
nothing is
not
perfect.
an option?
It's kind of clunky to have like people join and deal with. It's great for like recording podcasts and stuff like that. Like that you can get people to test it ahead of time and that sort of stuff. But it's not been infallible. We've had some problems with it as well.
Which one are you talking about?
Video Ninja?
Yeah, Video
Ninja.
Oh, okay.
What's the deal with YouTube Live? YouTube's got live, right? But how does that work? You can't do it
I don't
direct,
think they have
or
like multi-session, like multi-user joining. It's like a singular.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, it's like a one-way stream.
Okay.
This has been a problem forever. I mean, this has been a pain point forever.
Could use Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Then we could jump off a cliff shortly after.
Yeah.
But I know with Jitsi, I played around with Jitsi, like a self-hosted Jitsi, and I want to get to. I'll probably try to vibe code something where I use Jitsi with also the stun server. That makes it easy for multiple people to join from their own places, and that stun server helps relay it over. So that seems to be like the only hiccup, because there's some places where you got to pay for a secure stun server. There's some that are free, but they have limited bandwidth. So that's the thing that gets kind of tricky. Is like you got to have 2 servers to help with that.
I mean, it might have gotten better over the years, but we tried Jitsi a couple times and it just fell on its face. Because I mean,
did you do the free version or the paid?
You get more than we paid for it, and then you get you get multiple people. The more people you get on, obviously, the worse it gets, and the worse it gets. So
yeah,
I think Jitsi is what OpenSUSE uses, isn't it, Nate?
It is, and we used it
and
early on before I bought a Zoom subscription. I used that, and it was kind of problematic. I mean, not problem. I mean, so the issue was just as bad with cameras, actually. The audio was fine, but the camera business didn't work out real well. That was the problem.
Fragile.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, you're running a video stream on your monitor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. To me, it's like just to the left of me. So the idea is when I bring up the news article, I can go whoop, and then I can open it up like the next one, which might be a perfect segue to talk about KDE receives over 1.2 million in euro investment from Sovereign Tech Fund.
Nice.
So, which I think this is pretty cool. So KDE announced a significant investment into the project by Germany's Sovereign Tech Fund. KDE will be receiving 1.2 million euros, 1.3 almost million euros, roughly $1.5 million US dollars over years 2026 and 2027 to make some significant improvements into their software stack. Over this year and next, the Sovereign Tech Fund will be investing into KDE to improve the infrastructure, implement more features for KDE Linux, enhance backup and restore features, and target a range of other functionality. The areas they will focus on include, I think the dark reader might be doing a problem here. Ooh, that hurts my eyes. Well, here. Looks like something. I don't know. I know it's a bunch of things that it'll include. I just don't know what. It's not showing up. But it's a bunch of things. I know that Samba like the way it handles networking. So there's some issues with it in on KDE where some applications, unless if they are KDE native, the way it does the KIO slave objects for handling shares will sometimes not work properly for other apps. It will work, but it's a roundabout weird way. And so I think smoothing some of those out, I know that was one thing. And yeah, I think that's pretty exciting, I think. I can jump into the
as a KDE Plasma fanboy, I approve.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Oh yeah, this is good.
As long as there's no like strings attached to it, you know, like we're giving you this money, and then there. As long as there's no strings attached to it, it's great.
It's really good.
From what I understand, there is some strings attached to this money that they have to use it earmarked for what they say it has to be used for. Which, of course, it's government money. Yeah. Well, yeah, but of course it's government money. You go.
There's certain features that they want to make it better to deploy in an enterprise environment, and that's really what it's going for. So it's just the investment to push essential software products next level, providing every individual. Let's see. Yeah, it's basically to regain the privacy, security, and control over the digital sovereignty. That's really what the
Well, that's okay as well too if they're doing it in a way where hey, will you please work on these features with the money? That's okay too, because they're still getting the money, as long as they don't start making decisions on what should be done and shouldn't be.
Right.
Well, even if they specify what it's got to be used for, it's still going to be used for improving KDE.
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed. I kind of, with Rocco a little bit, it's like I kind of get a little weary with government getting involved in certain projects. But that's just maybe my conspiracy theory, me going off on the tangent. But that's the only problem I have is they might start trying to attach more and more strings to more and more money if they try and donate more money. So...
Yeah,
I suppose what you're all saying is you don't.
Go ahead.
You don't want anybody having an influence in dictating which way the desktop goes, right? You want KDE to be doing that, right? The team at Plasma, KDE, you want them to continue to work in the direction that they've always been going in, not be dictated in which way they should be going, which is
right. You want them, like, it's okay to work on stuff that they ask you to work on because they're paying for some of the stuff, but KDE should be making the final decisions on what happens.
Well, I think as long as it doesn't violate their core values, it's fine. If they, if they ask for,
that's true. Yeah.
If they ask for a feature to make network shares, Samba network shares more intuitive or less problematic, that's one thing. If they ask for a feature that tracks users so that governments can extract information, that would be objectionable. So that would be the way I look at it.
What's going on with me full screen? What's going on? Everyone's saying I'm on full screen or something. What's going on there?
When you talk, if I make you full screen, we can see you, no problem. But as soon as I make you small, then I can't see you anymore. And so while you're talking, I just select you, and that makes my life better.
We need to get the stream viewers up.
All right. Hang on, I'll go get some. I'm just going to go put some makeup on. I'll be back. All right.
Okay. You're Hollywoodified.
Okay. I'm on the game. Where's the money going? KDE isn't throwing this budget at flashy UI overhauls. Instead, they're doubling down on foundational plumbing that keeps the desktop stable, secure, and modern. The funds are earmarked for a 2-year sprint focusing on security and QA infrastructure, framework plumbing, accessibility, which I really like that, Accessibility needs to be better. And polishing rough edges, meaning dedicated paid developers hours to squashing persistent bugs and finishing complex transitions like the massive push towards Wayland instead of legacy X11 sessions. Sounds good to me.
I think it sounds like a win-win-win-win.
Yep.
And another distribution that I'm gonna put on the list here to talk about after we get through this is trying out that new KDE OS. I know it's still kind of in early stages, but it'd be nice to, because it's also a cloud ready or immutable or immutable-ish, or
what's it based on?
They're using an Arch base. It's basically closer to the SteamOS in how it's put together.
Interesting.
So what was the other KDE? What was the name of the other KDE that used that's still
Neon?
going? That does? Yes.
Yeah,
So
Neon.
are they still relevant or not?
They have never been relevant.
Who runs Neon?
They have never been relevant.
They're closing shop.
Okay.
I think this is the last year, or they have like the LTS for 20. Yeah, I think they're going soon, and they were based on Ubuntu.
I think the issue was, to my understanding, because they're building it on an LTS, the software stack on top of the kernel was advancing, but underneath was not. It was taking too long to advance that, and that was really the issue. So they couldn't.
Well, they did have different versions for like bleeding edge testing, and then the LTS for the common folk like us.
Common folk.
And then they were like, it's not a real distribution. Here's the LTS version. And then like 2 years later, after that, they were like, actually, we are making it like a distribution. So come on over, folks. And then too many. It's a hard cycle.
I thought the LTS was also updating the desktop on a regular basis. Wasn't that the idea of it, or not?
Some backports, yeah.
The LTS, it was all LTS based, and the KDE Plasma side of it was rolling release. So you had everything underneath with all the plumbing was LTS and old, but you had all the brand new stuff of the modern Plasma, KDE Plasma running on top of it. It was just a really weird mix of brand new and really old.
Yeah, testing edition featuring pre-released KDE software. Then you have unstable edition, built from the same day of the new feature branches. Good for testing. No QA.
Yep, and all of those were using the old LTS Ubuntu variety. You just had a newer. You could pick your newer base.
Layer on top.
You could pick your newer layer of KDE Plasma, but it all worked with Ubuntu LTS. It was just it's a strange hodgepodge. It's just weird. It was just weird. That's a good way to say it.
It's a cool idea, but in practice, it doesn't really work.
They tried. They had a laptop out of it, the Slimbook. Remember that?
I do.
But yeah, it's exciting that people are thinking immutable first for these new projects.
Yeah, that's becoming more and more popular, isn't it? This immutable thing. But
pass.
Yeah, it's just that you become restricted with system files and stuff, right? So the things that we're so used to doing, running sudo and sudo and things like that, become irrelevant,
VAR,
isn't it?
etc and var are writable. Everything
else. Oh, they are they?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's their workaround. So you could get pretty darn far with etc and var.
Okay.
So it's like it feels like you're on your own system without having. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel like a barrier once you're aware of etc and var being available.
There's two that's on my radar, been on my radar for a while, is Blend OS and Vanilla OS. Those two seem to be moving quite forward.
Yeah, they're creative guys over there. A small team, I think, but they're creative. I didn't want to go too down that road because I know with I think Vanilla, it was based on Debian first, and then they switched to something else.
I think they're Arch now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
It might be Arch now, I think.
And it was just too all over the place for me. So I was like, let me see what these guys do after a couple more years.
Yeah, true that.
But
just a little correction. Vanilla OS was based on Ubuntu first, and the reason why they rebased, then the reason why they rebased was because they weren't getting the packages they needed with the versions they needed to build their atomic images, so they had to rebase.
Yeah. But the problem they had though is that they made it seem like version 1.0, and it's like you should have been a release candidate. You can't be making these kind of crazy. If you don't know, you don't. If you're not aware that you don't have what you need, and you're calling it version 1.0, 1. This, and I mentioned that in one of the chats where the developer was, and he kind of he admitted it. Like you can't be giving users a false sense of stability when you're not aware of what you're basing this off of, and then you're going to do whole another architect. Like I was not happy about that. That's not a good look for a project.
Yeah.
Cool concept though, but.
Well, speaking of project, anybody here into the AlmaLinux? Well, if you are, I have some good news for you. There is an AlmaLinux. AlmaLinux is to unveil a media entertainment OS edition, which to me seems, I don't know, a little bit like a sidestep because I kind of assume Alma to be more like a Red Hat, derived. It's Red Hat derived, yeah. So Alma shared with us that they will be introducing a new version of Red Hat Linux, or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, derived Linux operating system that is built specifically for media and entertainment use cases. So ahead of SIGGRAPH coming up in July, the AlmaLinux OS Foundation will be hosting AlmaLinux Day LA on 18 July as a free event catering to the VFX and enterprise Linux space. From here, they are set to introduce a new AlmaLinux edition for media and entertainment. Details in this new edition are limited ahead of the full unveil in July. This new AlmaLinux edition is being built specifically for the media entertainment studios. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with and how it differentiates from the main AlmaLinux builds as well as against other Linux distributions. Their AlmaLinux Day LA event will also include NVIDIA AMD graphics driver integration, cloud rendering, and related topics interests to the SIGGRAPH crowd in Los Angeles. Those wanting to learn more can check out their event details at almalinux.org. So that I think is interesting to see. So it's almost like an Ubuntu Studio, maybe, perhaps. Almost is what I'm thinking. I don't. I'm just guessing here. But the so book direct with a hotel. Look at that.
I thought AlmaLinux was more for like server loads or workflows.
Yes, that's what I would say too.
It's binary compatible with Red Hat, right?
Near binary.
Yeah,
so
it is.
More or less, yeah.
And it's like a Fedora spin, right? Something like that.
Oh, it's a fork, I think now.
It's a fork of Red Hat Linux, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fork of Red Hat. Yeah.
And they do have desktop images these days too, which, I mean, I haven't messed with them too much, but the few times I have booted them up, they seem fairly well polished anyway. Just older software.
Yeah. Cloud images.
Older software?
Images.
Yeah,
RHEL
is stuff out
is
of RHEL and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's like older Fedora releases is how they do it.
yeah,
So it's a
because
little bit like Debian in that way.
yeah, Okay. Yeah, because they're basically the RHEL is enterprise Linux, so everything is super old just to maintain stability all the time. I work with it all the time. And yeah, you're going to have packages that could be 1.5 to 2 years old in RHEL. That's just a patch for security.
Right, okay.
So
that's
why
it's a bit like,
yeah.
It's a bit like Debian, but in RPM versions.
Yeah, and actually RHEL tends to be older than Debian.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they tend to keep packages around for a while.
Okay. Interesting.
I can't speak to that.
Have you heard of Fedora, Red Hat Forever?
No.
They
No, what is
made an
that?
announcement a while back at their conference that they're gonna go to an indefinite time period of support. So
Really?
starting a certain version number that's already in release, you could sign up for support, and you can go literally as long as you need, and they will support it.
Yeah. From what I understand is the longer you go, the subscription cost for it goes up. So they're going to charge you more money to do it. That's one of the things that I think that they've been offered. My employment has been offered it for because they just converted to RHEL 10, at least part of their servers. Because I know I just went through having to upgrade them, and they were offered that type of contract, and I don't think they're going to do it because it's just going to be so expensive to do it that way.
It's probably for specific customers. You know, if somebody needs something like that, it's that's who it's for, ultimately.
There's a
Yeah.
big AI talk
Yeah.
on compared with the theme, obviously, with a lot of conferences now is AI stuff. So I think the bet is that with the power of AI, it will be easier to maintain older versions now, because by that time they'll have sophisticated tooling and mechanisms to really swap things out as needed or help out with so it won't be as, the heavy lift won't be as heavy. That's the bet. That's the theory behind some of that stuff they're saying, but
might be, yeah. But yeah, the thing is, with my employment, we do cloud-based stuff, and it always has to be rolled forward eventually, because if you have an old package base, eventually your software doesn't work. So every time Red Hat rolls forward, they try and keep it rolled forward as soon as they can.
Ben's Tech Room says, I like Alma. It's easy. It's like easy Red Hat Linux. And he also says you can get a free developer account and play with Red Hat Linux. Says, I do it just for fun, but I think Alma makes it easy. So I'd be interested to know. I think Alma would be maybe an interesting one to try as well, perhaps.
Core OS seems interesting to me because it's like meant to be immutable and somewhat rolling for Fedora for like server stuff. And it's supposed to be super lightweight too.
All right. Well, another article here I think is interesting is there's kind of a two-part here, and I'd like to hear some feedback on this one. So the first one is Bitwarden scrubs away the always free and inclusion values from its website as longtime execs step down. That's always one of the concerns, isn't it? So Bitwarden, the maker of the popular free password manager and other security solutions, is quietly making changes. In February, longtime CEO Michael Crandell moved to an advisory role, according to LinkedIn, with no announcement from the company. His replacement, Michael Sullivan, former CEO of both Acquia and Insight Software, touts his experience with all facets of mergers and acquisitions on his own LinkedIn page. including experience. That to me is a red flag right there. I'm going to just go ahead and say that. And all facets of mergers and acquisitions. Anyway, including experience working with leading private equity firms. CFO Stephen Morrison also left Bitwarden in April, replaced by former Envision CEO Michael. There's a lot of Michaels here. Schenkman. Both Crendell and Morrison joined the company in 2019. Kyle Spearin, who started Bitwarden as a fun hobby project in 2015, remains the company's CTO. Meanwhile, Bitwarden has made some subtle tweaks to its website. So pick a plan, never reset a password again. So I guess the always free maybe disappeared. So the page for a personal password manager no longer includes the phrase always free. Previously, this appeared under the pick a plan section partway down the page, but the section no longer mentions the free plan, though it remains available elsewhere on the page. Bitwarden made this change in mid-April, according to the Internet Archive. So there's an update after publication. The employee on Bitwarden subreddit said that always free has been restored on the pricing page, calling it an oversight by the marketing team. The product page for Bitwarden's personal password manager remains unchanged. So Fast Company asked Bitwarden if it would commit to not removing any features from its free plan in the future. Bitwarden's chief customer officer, Gary Ornstein, states by email that the company remains committed to offering a robust free plan that delivers meaningful value for individuals. Bitwarden has also stopped listing inclusion and transparency as tentpole values on its careers page. The company has long defined its values with the acronym GRIT, which stands for Gratitude, Responsibility, Inclusion, and Transparency. After May 4th, it changed this acronym to stand for Gratitude, Responsibility, Innovation, and Trust. Okay. I guess whatever. I don't really care about that. So the phrase inclusive environment still appears under the description of gratitude, while transparency is mentioned under the trust heading. There's just no longer the focus. Ornstein says Bitwarden updated these values to better reflect how the company expresses its principles today, and that transparency remains an integral part of how Bitwarden operates. These changes arrived not long after Bitwarden doubled the price of its premium password manager from $10 to $20 when the company revealed these changes in February. It tucked them into a lengthy blog post about feature updates and opted not to immediately notify customers. Bitwarden is instead disclosing the price hikes in the remainder emails it sends 15 days ahead of each renewal. The Bitwarden blog does not mention leadership changes or new company values, and the company has not issued any news releases about them. So kind of go into the different little bits here, and then here's a response here that was on Reddit. So, but anyway, so just some thoughts on that. Does that provide any concern? At first, when I started reading it, I was concerned, but I kind of felt like that they were really reaching a little bit in the article, like trying to make something out of nothing.
Maybe.
I mean, so like $10. I always thought $10 a year was pretty darn cheap. Really, less than $1 a month for the service.
Amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would honestly I have no problem spending $20 a year for the service. I'm not gonna like say I think they should raise the price more, because I like that it's inexpensive. I would like to keep it that way, but I mean, for as much as I use it, and actually we now use it in the enterprise space. We use it at work now too. We moved to Bitwarden there. It's just a much better password manager, in my opinion. So I don't know what all this means. A little bit concerning about someone who's an expert in mergers and acquisitions. I'm like, oh, okay, this I don't like this guy immediately. That's actually my biggest concern right there.
Mm-hmm. This is also why I'm glad Bitwarden is open source.
Mm-hmm.
And if they suddenly just change it, we can just go and spin up our own instance of Vault1 and just host our passwords there. I mean, I've already done that on my server. But this is just one of the reasons why I'm just glad it's open source. It's such a good password manager that, but if they make a major change, people can just spin up their own.
It's true. So Anna Rita says, I pay for no service. I prefer open source offline applications such as KeePass CX. I thought it was XC.
It's actually KeyPass XC.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. I use that on the phone. I use it on the computer. It's fantastic.
So you guys don't use the sticky note widget?
What's it?
Weird.
Yeah. The only thing about KeyPass is the fact that unless you've got it synced up, you have to manually sync every single device in the background unless you've got it hosted somewhere. And it doesn't host it by default. It's automatically local files. So if you update your passwords on one device, you might have to take those key files and copy them to your phone, to your other laptop, to your desktop, everything by hand. And I found that too tiresome for me. But that's just me.
Syncing is the solution with KeyPass XC and KeyPass DX on Android. Syncing is amazing, and it will sync everything. Your files are
right?
yours. They're not hosted anywhere. They can't get hacked, and syncing's free. You don't have to pay anybody.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For me, I use Bitwarden for the convenience, but I always back up everything to a KeyPass XE database that I sync with my Nextcloud here at the house, and that's been really handy to have. And then if Bitwarden ever does something that I don't agree with, I've already got my password vault ready to go, set up. I've been doing it this way for years. I mean, that's the only reason why I use Bitwarden. It's just the convenience. And also, I've my wife to start using my Bitwarden so we can share accounts and whatnot, which makes it really easy as well.
My wife is almost there. Like, I tell her every time with the kids' accounts, especially, like, can you please update it? She's getting there, but
yeah, I'm just hoping. Well, I'm not going to worry. There's nothing to worry about yet until there's something to worry about. And so at this point, just keep driving forward. So I remember when I first started using Bitwarden, I was in I think March of 2019 on Biddle. We did it was like an application thing. We actually did Bitwarden, and since that time, I've been using Bitwarden as a regular password manager. So I can actually remember exactly where I was when I installed it too. So it's kind of funny.
Yep.
Just in my case, I have a lot of devices around here, mostly self-inflicted, if I'm being honest. And to be able to access it is just more convenient. If I was only a one or two device kind of person, I could probably figure out how to sync that up pretty easily and just get along with KeyPass.
Yeah. Also, I have to say, because using it in, we have a corporate account of it. Being able to have a vault that we share of passwords for, like, within the IT and OT teams, it makes things extremely convenient. We're not losing things like we once did. Because we put like registration keys in there for things and so forth. So it really makes life a lot better in that environment. I don't know if other password managers are as convenient or not, but I do.
Bitwarden is great in the enterprise space. It just is. We use it too. So when it was just funny because one person lost the password to the vault, and all I had to do was go log right in and say, "All right, here you go," and it was all. And it was really, really quick, and I didn't have to go back and change a whole bunch of passwords just because somebody lost their password.
And Roller Dolphin says, "I'm shocked, I tell you, that someone is trying to make a buck on Bitwarden. Also, been sending them money for years. Well worth it."
Your camera's working again, Nate.
Oh, good. Let's say
Yay.
New to Linux is not working properly. Let's see if I get these others to turn on.
Yeah.
Oh, full scale for me. Oh, everyone's is working again. Yay.
Now, when it comes down to it, though, it costs money to host all those passwords on Bitwarden. And you know what? have a problem with them charging money, and if costs go up, the price is going to go up. That's just the way things work. But I'm like, yeah, it costs money to maintain that infrastructure, so I don't mind. I don't mind the concept of, well, I'm using someone else's server, so I have to pay some money to use someone else's server. So, honestly, I don't think there's anything to worry about right now. But I did take notice when you said one of the people that's advising them is a specialist in acquisitions. So that almost tells me that they're thinking about selling.
Well, the new CEO has done both, has been involved in all facets of mergers and acquisitions. The new CEO, the kind of guy that gets a golden parachute after he extracts the value out of a company. That's the guy. Whoever the guy was that ran GE into the ground in the 80s. Who's that guy? But they touted him as such a business genius for destroying things. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of set the blueprint. You're absolutely right. I just watched something not long ago on that. It's just like an absolute.
Just absolute.
Awful
you can insert every string together and hyphenate every 4-letter word to describe that guy.
Yep. He made it seem like he was a genius, and he just ultimately destroyed one of the best companies in the entire world. So
they're one of the most innovative companies that built incredible things, turned into a shell of its former self. Yep.
That's it, man.
Those are not good business
genius
people. And those people are terrible, and they should be paraded as morons that have destroyed great things, but they're not for some reason. So I don't know. Anyway.
Honestly, people like that, the things that I think that we should do to them, I can't say on a YouTube podcast.
Nope, sure cannot.
No,
I'd like to. I don't want demonetized.
No, I'm not going to say that. But that's as far as I was going to go with that.
No violent opinions allowed, please. Thank you.
That's right. You would like to throw cotton balls at them. That's what I like to do.
Exactly.
Popcorn,
yeah. But already popped popcorn, so it's more delicious.
I like the UK tradition of a cream pie to the face. I always think that's pretty funny whenever they get like a politician like that.
Yeah, that is funny.
Remember when that used to be a big thing? Hit pie thing? Yeah. That was funny.
So
dangerous, but funny.
I'm going to bring up this last point before we move on to housekeeping. So why not self-host? Seriously, I would never use a cloud-hosted password manager. Too risky, in my opinion. You're not wrong. The issue is like more along the lines of time and desire. That's really what it boils down to. So
and expertise.
Not so much that.
Well, I think that's
and
what
expertise.
Did was bring a password manager that was easy to use for everybody. So no matter what skill level you are, you could use Bitwarden. I mean, self-hosting is great, but most people are not going to do that.
And Bitwarden has proven itself over the years. I mean, they've had audits, they've time tested. I mean, people have been using them for quite a while now, and they've always been a champion of open source, and their prices have been ridiculously inexpensive. I feel like they've done more for desktop security, than a lot of companies, just simply by having a free option or having such a low cost option.
Yeah, and
being easy to use.
It's been proven, and it's also been proven in several audits that they don't actually have access to your passwords. They can if you have like two-factor authentication, you lose the key, you're done. You have to go and rebuild your whole database because they can't restore your two-factor. They can't restore your password if you don't have if you have two-factor, nothing, and they can't restore your database either. So. Honestly,
I have been paying for Bitwarden for 2 years because they made it easy for my wife to use a password manager that works on her browser, on her phone, on whatever computer she's on, and it made it easier for me to make her understand how to use a password manager, and it was worth it to me.
Now, can you teach me?
One miracle at a time.
Yeah, I do want to respond to Frat one more time. It says, as system administrator for over 30 years, I feel the only solution is self-hosting, but hey, that's my experience speaking. I don't disagree whatsoever. I think if you have if you have the time, the bandwidth to do the self-hosting, I think that's the best way to go for just about everything. I don't disagree whatsoever. And so I think Vault Warden for you personally, if you can do it, I'd say go for it. But I don't know that I would be that'd be the highest and best use of my time, I guess, really.
Yeah, and the thing with Vault Warden is it does take some really good knowledge about signing your own keys for SSH and stuff like that, because if you don't have SSH enabled on your server for not SSH, what am I thinking of? It's not SSH.
SSL certificate.
SSL, that's what I'm thinking of. SSL certificates. If you don't have SSL certificates on your Vault Warden, it will not work at all. That is a requirement. And if you don't have a certificate, or if you don't know how to sign your own certificate, you better do some real good research on how to do it. It took me like 3 weeks to get mine working because I didn't know that I didn't have the knowledge to get it working yet. But I just wanted to learn.
Right.
So,
yeah, my comment on this would be everything is a compromise in life, and you have to look at the cost and time and money to say, yes, I have the time and the effort to go and do this myself, or I can pay money and let someone else do it because I don't have time. And that's what it comes down to, when you pull everything away from it. And by the way, I use Bitwarden two ways. My work stuff, I'm self-hosted Bitwarden, and then my personal, of course, I subscribe to them. So.
All right. Well, on that bombshell, let's go ahead and move on to housekeeping. So next week is a distro exploration. I'd like to maybe try. Okay, here's the three that I have based on our conversations and whatnot. And I want to hear what maybe your thoughts are. But one, we could do stillOS, and maybe we can try to get a hold of Pizza Loving Nerd and see if he can want to be a part of the conversation. I think that'd be cool. Quark OS, something that Zeb is using currently, and he thinks it's the best Linux distribution ever. Actually, I'm putting words in his mouth, but we'll just call it that. And another would be KDE
It's okay, he's
OS.
not here to defend himself.
That's right, and then I totally agree with that. Another would be KDE OS. It's a immutable-ish distribution that it's kind of in the early stages, so it's not fully. I think they're still working on some things. So
you might want to pull. You might want to pull Arch Penguin in for that. He's been testing the KDE OS a little bit.
Well, he's always welcome to hop in anytime.
If he's listening, he'll be here next week.
What's that?
Can we back the truck up a bit? Quirk OS? How do we spell that? Is it just QUIRCK?
QUARKOS.
Ah, QUARKOS. Never heard of it. Quark OS.
Yep.
And this is what Zeb's using, is it? This is new to me.
Yeah, only freakies can use it.
Quark. Yeah. Only Frankies can use it.
The way he explained it is they take a Ubuntu, they strip the L off of it, they add KDE Plasma to it, they remove snaps, and I've already installed it. Yeah, it's interesting. I've already installed it because I want to know how it's any different than Kubuntu, other than removing snaps.
Right.
Yeah. And I actually took a look at it this afternoon, and it looks like a lot of the stuff that when they strip out snaps apps in Linux Mint, some of the stuff is broken. It looks like they've actually added the missing packages that snap into their repositories. So it looks like it looks actually pretty cool the way they've done it. So
and then the other would be KDE Linux. A free Linux-based operating system built on KDE. So that would be.
Do they have an ISO yet, or are they still using RAW?
Yeah, not as the last time I checked. I wanted to try it too, and yeah, RAW is just annoying.
It is. I looked up on how to get that installed into a VM, and I just failed miserably, and then I ran out of interest.
It just expects you to send it to to copy it onto a thumb drive, and like as if you're only going to use hardware. So,
right.
I mean, I'm sure someone at some point is going to, once it matures a little more, make it into an ISO. I mean, I assume so. So yeah, I just figured I'd wait. There's a lot of opinionated stuff. Like it's very very early on, so I kind of feel like it's not going to run like super well. You're almost like guaranteed to be a beta tester at this point.
True.
It's still pretty darn early. Yeah.
All right, so let's knock KDE OS off the list. So between QuarkOS and stillOS, unless somebody has anything else they want to throw it out there. I know GNU to Linux, he said Mint.
I'm using.
Earlier.
I don't know if anybody else has played around with it, but I'm using Pica OS right now.
Oh, Pica,
yeah. And I don't know if Zeb had. He had mentioned it to me as a suggestion, and I don't know if anyone else saw that or not. But yeah, I actually have it on a couple of systems now, and I have the KDE version on one and the GNOME version on another, and yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a Debian base, and then they have, for stuff that they want to have more up to date, they're using Unstable, but then for the base system itself is Debian, like the standard release, and then stable release, and then it's sort of gaming focused. So there's a lot of hardware enablement, a lot of like enabling of like setting up games and game emulation and sort of all that stuff. I haven't really used any of that stuff because I'm not really much of a gamer, but in terms of just having a system that is based on Debian, has sort of all the update desktop environments, like up to date. So like KDE Plasma 6.6 or whatever, and then GNOME 50, and then yeah, it's pretty slick. I've enjoyed using it. It's got some really kind of interesting artwork and stuff, and yeah.
I've got a question. It's not breaking when it's pulling stuff from Unstable, because usually Debian, or are they building their own packages from Unstable?
So it's a good question. I don't know. They have an FAQ.
Because I'll have to look. Because generally, if you're like pulling down packages from Unstable into a stable base, that usually will break something at some point.
It says here it's got high compatibility. Debian SID base with custom patches ensures broad software and hardware support.
Okay, so it's not based on stable at all. It's just based on SID. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, sorry. So it's Debian SID for the main contrib and non-free firmware, Debian experimental only for certain packages such as desktop environments. Deb Multimedia provides up-to-date multimedia packages with full features such as FFmpeg, AMF, and NVENC, or new GStreamer. And then there's a GFX compute repository, and then a third repository for Steam and other stuff. Yeah, they got their FAQ kind of lays it all out in terms of like. It's a pretty slick,
that makes a lot more
way
sense,
to put it all together. Yeah. And I've heard people talk about like in terms of the gaming performance, it's really solid. So yeah, it's an interesting, like there's a lot of thought and like development behind it. Like the tools, the welcome thing, the installer is their own installer, so it's not like a derivative that I'm aware of. I mean, I've never seen it before, so if it is from something else, I've never used it outside of this. And
we've got a Cosmic edition too.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
Cosmic, Neri, and Hyperland.
I think it's something worth looking at if you haven't looked at it before. Just you know. So
I'm sure I did a video on PKOS many years ago. Can't remember. I'm sure it was that one, but it seems to have come leaps and bounds since then anyway, because it was it wasn't anywhere near what this is now. It's interesting that they've gone that far. So it'd be interesting to try out. Sean?
We did do it in May of last year, a year ago. But it's been a year.
Oh, we did?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. May.
All right. Well, then do something new then.
Okay.
All right. I'm not here for the next 3 weeks.
I'm just, yeah.
I'm not having any influence on this. I'm not here for the next 3 weeks. So I don't have any influence, but
when you retire, then you'll be here every week, right?
That's right, exactly.
Honestly, I'm more interested in Quark OS, so, but I'll do either.
Anybody, any other thoughts? War Thunder?
So somebody said this Quark OS is based on Lubuntu, but it says it's based on Ubuntu, not Lubuntu.
It's based on Lubuntu because whenever you, the reason why we think that is because whenever you stick the image in and stuff, it identifies itself as Lubuntu instead of Ubuntu.
Right? Oh, okay. Right, okay. So they're just generalizing Ubuntu on the web.
They might have just used it as a template, though. Like an installer template. It might be. So.
Well, is it because does Lubuntu still come with snaps or not? Lubuntu, they're normally a little bit different to the. They do come with snaps, do they? Okay.
Yes. The thing is, to be an Ubuntu spin, they have to. To be an Ubuntu spin, you have to include snaps.
I think they were the last ones to. They were the last ones to include it, though. Yeah.
They were, but Canonical made that decision. I want to say 2-3 years ago now, and if it's an Ubuntu spin, it has to have it does include snaps.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess between so let's see. So stillOS sounds more exciting to War Thunder and Goofball. Any other? So I got Zeb wants Quark. I'm voting for Quark. Or Zeb. Go ahead.
I'm going with still. I'm still curious on what sets Quark apart from Kubuntu, and it might just end up being more or less Kubuntu without snaps. And stillOS I've never heard of either.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, they've got it, and this is probably like a very shallow way to put this, but they have a website that has information. They explain things. They've got forums. They've got a community, and Quark looks like it's just Q4OS that like built a little spin or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put it that
that's
way, but
correct.
that's what it looks like.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
But I will say, one neat thing about Quark OS is they have I brought this up earlier. Somewhere here I can. All right. Yeah, right here. They have, and I'll make this big here. They have a Windows 10 OS feel. That's pretty cool. And so like you can make your computer
that's super cool.
look like Windows 10, but it's actually Plasma. So, for what it's worth.
Well, they'll get in trouble for that.
You're
anyway.
selling it me on it.
And let me just refute that not refute, but counter that by saying if you look at the screenshots for stillOS, the way they have the bar set up in the bottom looks just like Windows 11. So if you're hankering for some of that centered, the centered menu and the menu's on the left, but the icons are all centered.
You're really selling me. You're really selling me, Eric. We gotta have a Windows 11 in Linux. Just take it.
Hey, man. Don't.
Well, I'll be honest with
to...
you. I think stillOS is more, I don't know, a little bit more exciting to me than Quirk. But I got to stick with my buddy Zeb. So my vote would be for Quirk.
All right, so it's between
mine too.
stillOS
in
Quirk.
In the interest of Zeb, I'll go Quirk. In the interest of doing something new, I'm going to go Still. So I'm torn.
All right. Well,
and you're saying that Still? I'm sorry. You're saying it Still was done by Pizza?
Yes, Pizza Loving Nerd. Yep. Yeah, he's very active on YouTube at the moment. Yep.
Very cool. You said it was under Colton or something?
Cameron Knopf. I think he's just uploaded one now. Actually, I think he just uploaded a video now. Yeah.
His @ sign. Yeah, his @ sign is still Pizza Loving Node. So if you guys go to youtube.com/@Pizza Loving Node, it'll.
I think so. So I guess between Quirk and Still. Sorry, I lost my audio here for a second. Because my
that's all good.
Earbud died. So,
I just discovered there's a Commodore OS.
Yes, there is, and that's pretty cool. It's actually being actively maintained too. Some other time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing about Commodore OS is the ISO is like over 50 gigabytes.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just dump everything into it.
All right. Okay. I'm going to make an executive decision. Well, let's do Quirk OS this time, since Zeb's already doing it, and then we'll do stillOS next time, and then we'll go from there. So, and then give stillOS a chance to kind of maybe dial some things in. Also, I'm going to send Pizza Loving Nerd a message, see if he's interested in
yeah, sure. No worries. Sounds good.
Something too. So
is it?
What's that?
Does it matter if we're doing? There's testing and stable
for Quirk.
For Quirk,
I don't think it matters. It can do whatever floats your boat. I think.
And then we can choose between Plasma or Trinity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, let's move it on to. We finished the last call with housekeeping. All right. So if you have any suggestions for distributions, discussions, applications, or polls, I just got a suggestion for a poll about Dark Reader. So I'll be in the poll this week, and then we'll do a couple of polls. We can do more than one poll in a week. Actually, it's kind of not a bad thing. Send them to suggestions at linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag it on the Discord or Telegram at any point in time. Also, I still want to have a discussion at some point in time about that was brought up by Advait about the top 5 things you like about Tumbleweed Desktop and 3 frustrations with it. We have to do that at some point in time. But basically, what you like or dislike about your particular distribution might be a good topic, a good topic week. All right, so we're going to head and go into last call. We are a little bit over, so I have to do it super quick. Dale, what do you got, man?
3-day weekend, hoping to put some videos up. Just
Sweet.
been busy.
Well, I understand. And thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Full scale from me, Mike. Thanks for being here. What do you got going on?
Still testing the MX 25.2 ISOs to see if Debian broke anything in their last 13.5 update. Don't know when they'll be released, but we're shooting for May. They
would never. Well, keep doing all what you're doing. Do appreciate it. GNU to Linux. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Tomorrow is the Mintcast. 3 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be talking about my experiences setting up a new HTPC and the software I used.
Sweet. And at youtube.com/Mintcast?
That's right.
Sweet. Got it. Thanks for being here. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes too. Hip Dad. How's your cat?
Well, the cats are fine. I mean, I've got like 11 cats, only 5 intermittently inside, but here's one. I got a big letter keyboard at a Goodwill today, and I didn't look at it. I saw $1.99 and I just snatched it up. I thought it was wired, and it's wireless. Well, needless to say, the wireless RF receiver is not with it. And you run the model number, and nothing can be found. Made in China, of course. I don't know how universal some receivers are or not.
Well, I have no idea.
There got plenty of receivers.
You might be able to find
Bluetooth.
something.
Yeah, that's my rabbit hole.
Is it a Logitech?
Oh no, it's not. I've got plenty of Logitech receivers, but it's not a. There's
okay.
No
I was just. Okay. Well, I was just gonna say because Logitech has
AliExpress.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're.
Well,
talking
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
The unified adapters. Yeah. Because I've done that before. I have a wireless Logitech that didn't come with that. I just bought a unified adapter and just stuck it in there and configured it.
Yeah. I got a T-shirt
you
that
can
says
Google the FCC ID and find out.
the FCC ID. Okay, I haven't done that yet. I got a T-shirt that says if I had $1 for every time I got distracted, I wished I had some ice cream.
It's awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here, Hip Dad. Appreciate your input.
Thanks for having me.
Jinda.
I appreciate it.
You were
Nate.
You were just so Jinda this today.
Yep.
So
sorry, it was a force of habit.
I get it. Well, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Collin.
Yeah.
Like the moon, you only show up once a month.
That's it.
Yep.
On the moon. Yeah, on the moon. There you go.
You're a stellar body.
Yeah, I'll be just chilling out for the rest of the week before I have to go away again. So just doing some Linuxy things in the background, not really making many videos, not making no videos, to be honest, for the last few years now. So that might come back again. Let's see how we go.
I'm hoping. And then, well, anyways, thanks for being here. I hope to see you again in 3 weeks. Hope the moon will shine once again and won't be blotted out by the clouds.
The moon will shine once again. Oh, good.
And Penguin.
Yo, what's up?
I don't know. Maybe we did this Linux Saloon thing tonight. What are you up to?
Yeah, well, the ceiling is up. I mean, but no, just basically just plugging along with online. I'm just posting videos. Again, I should be posting a video on Tuesday. and then another one on Friday. So those are my typical upload days these days. So go ahead and take a look at Penguin Revolution right there. I'll post a link in the chats. Be on the lookout for those. And that's basically what I've been, that and just normal life stuff.
Sweet. Well, thanks for being here. Rocco, you gave me twice in one day. I feel like I struck gold.
Well, I'm not sure what you just said because it was really robot-y. But Nate, thank you for having this, man. This is absolutely awesome. Thank you for everything that you do every single week. So I really appreciate it. It's great seeing everybody, talking to everybody, and I definitely will be back.
Excellent. Well, I always love having you, so it's great. Am I robot-y to anybody else? Or was it just to Rocco?
No, you were
just that.
Just for a moment.
Yeah, it was a problem with Discord.
Or my.
We're gonna blame it on Discord.
All right. Well, maybe the mask is slipping and the real me is coming out. Who knows? Glitch in the program.
I knew it.
Well, thanks for being here. Hope to see you again real soon. And then War Thunder. Glad you can make it. Glad you're feeling better. I know you said you were not feeling great this morning, afternoon, whatever.
Yeah, got hit with a bunch of allergies and whatnot. I'm still medicated, but I'm doing better than I did this morning, where I pretty much felt like I got hit by a truck. So,
okay.
Haven't done a whole lot lately. Just got I did release a video this Friday on my channel, the War Thunder's Nerd Cave, about the thrifting I did while I was in North Carolina not too long ago on vacation. I got some actual thrifting in for a change.
Well, that's fun.
Including my favorite thing. I got a Sega Master System.
Ooh. That's the 8-bit one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know about those until like in the last 10 years. So
it's before my time, but it completes the collection because now I have a Game Gear as well down here that I need to recap. But I'll have pretty much all the Sega consoles now, all the way up through the Dreamcast, which was their last one.
Did you have a Saturn? Do you have a Saturn also?
I have a Saturn as well. The Saturn I got was up north at a Mega Replay, because there's a disc replay and there's a Mega Replay. It's the same chain. Was in the original box the owner had bought it from when it was brand new. He had just kept it when he wasn't using it in the box, which I still have in that closet.
So do you have also the Sega Power Tower where you got the drive and the Sega, then you can put like the 32X thing on top? I've only ever seen videos of it.
I don't have a 32X. I've been wanting one, but they're really pricey when you do find them. But I did find a second Genesis that had the CD Model 2 on it. I wanted the full Tower of Power, but I'm getting close. I just ain't willing to let go of several $100s for an add-on that is basically useless, but it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Well, cool. I hope you have tons of fun with that Master System.
I do. I got to get it cleaned up because it's kind of dirty, but I actually get to use. It did not come with any form of composite. It comes with RF.
Oh.
And you got to plug it into the TV. Like from back then, you have selection of channel 3 or channel 4. You got to plug it into the TV antenna port. I've got a little baby CRT that has its own cable port that I'll plug into to play with it, but I at least got to play with it where I bought it from. The guy was super nice and he hadn't tested it yet, so his wife hooked it up and then they just sat there and played it for like 10 minutes to make sure it was still working.
So do you have the Alex the Kid game, whatever it is that has him on it? Because he was like the character for the Master System. He was
the guy
Sonic.
Yeah, the guy did not have that one. The games that he showed me, I got Outrun and Afterburner were the two that I saw that he had. Yeah, I got like the whole thing for less than $200. Like guy was really reasonable. It just needs some cleaning. Good controllers are in good shape. I was really surprised.
Well, excellent. Well, have a blast with that. And also thanks for being here. And then there's Eric. I didn't get to see your beautiful face, but at least I got to hear your voice. So that's good.
Thank you. Yeah, nothing really going on. Just like I said, playing around with Pico OS and not really much else. Interesting time of year, end of school and all that fun stuff, and summer camps and planning. Actually, my daughter just got a phone number. Like I did an eSIM setup for her, and because she was taking a school trip, and so it's kind of like freaking us out a little bit because she has like unfettered access now and texting and all that. And she asked my wife today if she could have Snapchat, and I was like, not a chance. And so now I got to kind of like have a discussion about, like, I'm sorry, that's social media is a big step. I don't mind you texting your friends and stuff like that, but not Snapchat.
It's interesting.
So I don't know how people handle that with their kids, because like 13's the age, man. They can create their own accounts if they're 13. So
My kids have rejected social media entirely, except for like YouTube. But they don't do YouTube. They watch YouTube. But there's a like zero interest in social media.
Well, she does Pinterest because it's so visual, and she's an artistic person, so it's like, collect pictures kind of thing. But this is a friend asking her to get it, and so I think that's how this is going to become an issue. Is like if she has a friend that says, "Oh, you should be on this."
Oh, my kids don't have friends. That's it. I'm kidding.
Anyway, just something to have to kind of come to terms with, and
yeah, scary.
Another discussion.
Brave new world.
Yeah, it's a scary world out there. I mean, we had to have that little talk with my goddaughter at one point because we caught her on Discord when she wasn't supposed to be there. So
Rotten
Discord. You got to keep an eye. What?
Nobody should be on Discord.
Yeah.
Rotten Discord. Nobody should be on that.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah.
There's just a lot that, and I think she's just so innocent. She really is. I mean, I know a lot of people think that about their kids, but I genuinely know how she just doesn't see the potential for like abuse and harm and whatever. And it's just like, I'm trying really hard to not like harden her by being like, everybody's a pig and everybody's trying to hurt you. And that kind of, like, I don't want her to look at everybody with, suspiciously, but at the same time, I want her to understand, like, people don't always have the best motivations and stuff like that. And social media in general, I just don't think it's necessary. She has enough in her life, and she only has a small circle of friends, and I would just rather that she, talk to them. Chat apps are fine, that kind of stuff. It's broader social media. Like, I'm not going there. Not yet.
Got it. I agree. Especially that Discord. No bueno. And then Mike. Well, thanks for being here, Eric. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
And Mike.
Yes,
last but not least.
Well, I like being last. It's my thing. I like to be quiet and just listen for a while. No, I got a couple of things. First of all, tough work week, busy, but I managed to knock out a few things today. There was some discussion on Discord in the chat about people were asking, and Nate and I talked about this, were asking about maybe some tutorials or articles about basic Linux terminal commands. So I posted the first one tonight, and I'll put the link in the chat here. It's on the ls command, and it kind of covers from the basics up to some advanced things. So I'm going to do a whole series of these on probably the most popular, some of the popular commands like grep and cat and touch and find and all those fun ones, you know. So
yeah, I was thinking it might be a really neat idea to, like, if we want to have like a do like a segment and maybe do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and so
we can do one on LS next week if you want. You know.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's plan that out, and then
yeah.
All right. All different things you can do by listing the contents.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool.
There's some neat little tips in there. A lot of people apparently don't know. So based on feedback.
I like it. Let's do that.
Yeah, and the other thing, real quick, I found an interesting. I guess you'd call it a packet sniffer. It's a little bit higher level than that. It's called SnipNet. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I've not.
It's has a very nice interface. It's not like Wireshark where it goes down to the actual packet data level. What it does is it shows you the host you're communicating with, who they are, what the service is, and what program is using it. So it's cool. Kind of they have app images, they have packages for all the major distros. I'm sure there's probably a Flatpak or a Snap out there too, at some place. But
why don't we download that now?
But anyway, I was concerned about some traffic I was seeing when I wasn't really doing anything. And stupid me, it was my instinct doing it. So it helped me find that really easily. So
that's cool.
Good little tool to have. And last but not least, I want to remind everyone that Nate spends a lot of time doing this show. And I know he's going to be embarrassed about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Nate has a Patreon for the show and for himself. And even if you just go and join for $1 a month, I think it would show a little appreciation. I'm going to put the link in the YouTube chat and in the show chat. And it's a good way to kind of show him your appreciation. What he does takes a lot of time, and I think we all forget that, including me. I forget it quite often, so I just wanted to take a minute to say that.
I do it for the love of the community.
I know you do. It's your way of giving back. I get it, but still, it takes your time. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I'm done now.
Almost unhealthy obsession with OpenSUSE. So, well, thank you so much. Really, I appreciate being here and all that. And all your contributions, and that's what makes it really worth it. So, thank you very much for that. So yeah, you can go to cubicnet.com. There's links there, things like the show notes. These will be here after the show. You can be like a one-stop shop for all your Linux Saloon needs. So. Terrible marketing, but there we go. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for your support. However you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Discord meeting here or the YouTube stream, as well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. I also want to thank everyone involved making Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.
Bye.